Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Renatus Jam. This is our second try. This is take 2 of the Renatus Jam today. My name is Jay Stark, and joining me as always is my fearless co-host,
Mr. Matt Snyder.
Mr. Matt Snyder. I love it. Fearless co-host right there.
That's right. We get better every time we do this.
Every time.
We've had 2 tries today, so we got...
This one's just that much better than the first one.
It is that much better. Hopefully our head monkey button pusher won't push a button that he's not supposed to push.
I will pull this podcast over right now.
I love
it. Okay, Mr. Snyder.
Yeah.
What's new and exciting?
Man, we've got a busy week this week. We've got classes this week.
We have busy stuff coming.
You know, yeah, we didn't even talk about the schedule, but we've got Gavin McCaleb in here. We've got Hugh Zaretsky in here this week. Then next week, we've got Bob Bloom.
Bloom.
Is there anybody else am I missing?
Not next week.
Not next week. Okay.
So here's the deal. On the 17th, which is tomorrow.
Yep.
Hard to believe that tomorrow is October 17th.
Yeah, I know. It came quick.
Man, I feel like the other day it was June 1st.
For real, though. It really feels that way.
Yeah, crazy.
And as it's like the old cliche or whatever. Like as you get older, the time passes by quicker. But it really does.
No, you're ruining it for me. I thought it was just time flies when you're having fun.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah, and it's true. But like the older you get, the quicker time does feel perceived
because you're having more fun.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know. Gaslighted him.
Yeah.
Right here.
Is that
yes.
Is that what it is?
Sure, why not?
I hear that term a lot.
I don't know. How do you do the past tense of gaslighting? Gaslit somebody?
You've been gaslit.
Gaslit. So yeah. I gaslit him here on the call.
That's right.
Because
it's nice to be gaslit for once because I'm normally doing the gaslighting.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
I like to light gas. It's fun.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. All right. So tomorrow, October 17th.
Yeah.
We're having Gavin McCaleb, Coach Gavin McCaleb, come in live in the studio for any Renatus extreme education owner. They're going to be able to tune into the broadcast or can join us live in studio for the foreclosures class. I had to say that kind of slowly for some reason. Foreclosures. So we are re-recording the foreclosures class. Gavin's got all new content that he's going to be including in the class tomorrow. And if you are local, join us live in studio.
Yeah.
It's going to be epic.
Come by.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're local and you would like, let's say you've got a guest or a prospect that is interested in learning more about what we do, or they want to see, especially they want to test drive it, quote unquote, right?
Right.
Bring them in.
Bring them in.
Let them see what we do.
Yeah.
Let them kick the tires.
Kick the tires, light the fires.
Learn some things. I love Gavin. Like, he's really one of my favorite instructors.
Yeah.
Because he's a business professional, but he has a really good sense of humor. Like, he's pretty.
He does, and he's been coaching for a long time now with us.
Yep.
And so he knows how to answer questions in a way that makes sense for people.
He's very good at teaching.
Oh yeah, incredible.
Yeah, and he's been doing real estate for well over 2 decades. I don't know how many decades. It's more than 2. He's been at it for a long time, and he's great. Like, he really is a stud. So he knows. I like the knowledgeable experts. I mean, that's obviously, we get people who are knowledgeable in their field,
right,
for every class that we film. But he is particularly knowledgeable about a lot of real estate,
because he has really not only done so many different types of transactions, but has coached people through all of the types of transactions.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm sure that there may be a nuance of a strategy that he maybe hasn't had a lot of experience with. However, he has literally coached people through hundreds, if not thousands, of transactions. Can I say that? Is that legal for me to say that he's coached people through?
Yeah, he has.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
So,
compliance.
You said hundreds, if not thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not hundreds of thousands.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, that wouldn't be accurate. So yeah, hundreds, if not thousands. Maybe one day. Yeah.
One day. So anyway, he's coming in tomorrow all day, going to be recording with us. And then on Friday, we've got Hugh Zaretsky coming in to do the real estate marketing and sales course. So again, if you're an AIT Extreme owner, then you're going to be able to see the broadcast. Or if you want to join us live in studio. This is a class that has been taken out of the library once upon a time, one of the very few, and it's being now put back in. So we just needed to update a couple of things to get it back in there. Next week, like you said, we have Bob Bloom coming into the studio. Now, this is a Saladio broadcast, meaning that you have to be either a financial mastery owner or the digital business mastery owner in order to take part in the broadcast or the in-studio session, the in-studio session as well. But Bob is coming in. This is going to be a first for us. We've never recorded with him, so this will be the very first time he meets the family and gets a chance to really interact with the Saladio loyal, all of our folks, and it's going to be phenomenal. He's teaching asset protection. We're calling this I wrote it down, Financial Fortress class.
Oh, yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Is he coming in? Is he here local, or is he flying?
He is not local. He's coming in. He's flying in from Texas.
Okay.
And he'll be here on the 25th that Friday.
It'll be great to meet him.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, here we go. Are you guys ready for November?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
That literally takes us,
October, the last of October.
That's the second half of October only, right there. Now we're going to go into November, and then we got a couple of updates for December. So here we go. The 14th and 15th of November, we have the West Business Mastery Conference. Yeah, I said that right. The West Business Mastery Conference. And that's actually here in Salt Lake City. Actually, it's going to be live here in the studio. This is where we're replacing the regionals this year. So rather than hosting 6, 8, 10 regionals across the nation, we instead are only going to host 2. We're going to call them the East and the West Business Mastery Conferences. And the West Conference kicks us off. It's the 14th and 15th of November, and that's going to be here in the studio. To register for that, you just go to the Renatus calendar, find the event on the Utah calendar, and then you'll be able to register.
Yep.
And then on the 22nd and 23rd, we have the East Business Mastery Conference. That's taking place in Chicago.
Chi-Town, baby.
That's right, the Windy City. Not called the Windy City because of the weather. Who knew?
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Really? I really thought it was. What is it?
No, it was actually called the Windy City because of the way that politicians were so easily manipulated.
They would bloviate their giant wind bags.
Not just bloviate, but they could be bought and could be easily manipulated.
Well, that's true too. I think the wind blows there, and politicians can be bought. Not all of them. Okay. It's not all of them.
I didn't mean to get into it.
It's only most of them.
So that's in Chicago.
I don't know how many it is.
It's in Chicago on the 22nd and 23rd of November.
Yep.
Also happening on the 22nd of November is another Saladio broadcast. This one is the Tax Slasher course with what I can only assume will become one of my absolute favorite presenters, Patrick Munson.
Oh, he's awesome, and slashing taxes is awesome too.
Right?
As long as it's legal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
He is going to teach legal ways to minimize our tax obligations, not just to the IRS, but also with strategies that are applicable around the world.
Yep.
So one thing that I've heard a lot of lately is that tax strategies, while maybe the percentages are different from country to country, are the same in a lot of areas around the world. Meaning that a lot of places will let you employ your children and take a tax deduction for that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
A lot of countries will allow you to deduct business expenses at a certain rate, and you got to learn about the country that you're in. But it's so cool that Patrick is going to come and he's going to talk more about that.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So that's the 22nd. So again, if you are a digital business mastery owner or a financial mastery owner, you can tune in to the broadcast or you can join us live in studio. Okay, we're not done with November yet.
Holy smokes.
One more thing for November, and that is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, this is like the latest I have ever seen Thanksgiving that I can think of anyway. It's on the 28th of November. I almost said December.
It's usually around the 24th, 25th, something like that.
Yeah, it usually falls quite a bit earlier. And one of the consequences, are you ready for this? One of the consequences of having it so late in the year is that there are only three
full weeks.
Yeah, before Christmas.
Yeah.
Between the two.
That's crazy because that's going to be a quick 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to blow by.
Yeah, for all of those people that always delay Christmas shopping until Black Friday.
Yeah, yikes.
You might want to buckle up.
Yeah, let alone, who knows if the ports will be open and we'll have an election.
Wait a second. I thought the ports were open again. Did I misunderstand you?
I'm pretty sure they're going to close. I don't know. I'm not. I'm pretty sure they're going to close again sometime in the future here because I am the wrong guy to be talking about this.
Okay.
I skimmed some headlines.
All right.
So let's be careful.
Let's move on.
I don't know.
Before we start saying a bunch of fake news.
Yeah, right.
Let's move on. But and that brings up an important point. I want to encourage every single listener of our podcast to get out and vote.
Oh yeah.
Become educated about the politicians, about the people that are running, about the different policies that are being enacted in your area, and get out and vote.
That's right. Vote for me.
I'm not going to tell you who to vote for.
I will vote for me.
To get educated and go out and vote.
If elected, I will give everybody $1 million. I don't know. Keep going.
I don't even know how to pick up after that.
If you don't like the candidates, vote for me.
Write in Matt Snyder.
No, please don't. Please don't. I do not want to be an elected official. Watch 50 years from now, I'll be running for president or something.
Right, and we're going to pull up this and he'd be like, he doesn't even
He said he didn't want to vote.
All right, so get out and vote, though. I want to encourage everybody to do that. It is a civic opportunity that is truly unique and gives us a voice, gives us an opportunity to weigh in on who our leaders and representatives are in the country. And one of the things that always, from the very first time that I was able to cast my ballot after I turned 18 years old, one of the things that always impressed me or surprised me is that there were all of these people that had all of these opinions about politics. And I would ask them the question, did you vote? And they'd be like, no. And I'm like, then why do you have an opinion?
You can't complain if you don't vote.
Right. You need to be, you're either a part of the problem or part of the solution, right? Mm-hmm. And even if you feel like, my vote doesn't count, your vote counts. I literally lived in a city one time where the mayoral position for the city was a dead tie and had to be finalized by a game of chance.
Wow.
They literally rolled dice.
Incredible. But, that kind of stuff, that happens. So, you might feel like your vote doesn't count when it comes to the presidency because especially like, say, for instance, if you're in a state like Utah, it's not going to be a surprise to anybody that the majority of Utah will vote for Trump, meaning the delegates go to Trump, right?
Right.
But so I can understand how, especially if you wanted to vote for anybody but Trump, then you would feel like, well, my vote doesn't matter because, the delegates are going to go there. But lest we not forget about all the local elections that are just down that ballot.
And that is so important.
Yeah, state and
city,
county representatives, all sorts. And then you get to vote on referendums and different things like that. And so it's very important. Plus, I think if everybody takes the stance that, because I think what happens is you get a pretty significant chunk of people that go, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to drive down to the ballot box or whatever. And they don't vote for the presidency. And that can shift stuff. That can shift stuff pretty drastically.
Right.
Especially in states that are closer than ours. But
yeah, well, get out and vote. That's what I really want to encourage everybody to do. Get educated, go vote.
I want to vote just so I can complain.
Okay. All right. December. So that takes us through November. Are you ready for December?
Yeah.
In December, on the 5th and 6th of December, we have a new class recording for Renatus. We are re-recording the Real Estate Red Flags class with Chris Albin. Mm-hmm. So anybody who owns the Essentials course is welcome to tune in to the online broadcast, or they can join us live here in studio and be able to participate in the Real Estate Red Flags course. So that is on the 5th and 6th of December. And then on the 7th, one day later.
More?
But wait, there's more.
Yep.
We have the first Saladio Acceleration Lab taking place. Now, this is going to be similar to what an intensive would look like for Renatus, only this is going to be Saladio instructors. So we're going to bring live in the studio. I think we've got 5 or 6 different instructors coming in live with us. They're going to be doing presentations. They are not going to cover the same material that they cover in their courses. Instead, they are going to cover new material that is around their material, meaning that it is related to, but not the same as the material that they've given inside of their courses. And it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be truly a worldwide broadcast, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure that you save the date on December 7th for the Saladio Acceleration Lab. Now, I should add this little caveat here. If you are actively on the Digital Business Mastery subscription, then you are going to get 2 tickets to the Saladio Acceleration Lab at no cost. If you are not on the Digital Business Mastery subscription, then tickets to the Saladio Acceleration Lab are $250 each.
Okay.
Now, that said, for those individuals that are on the subscription who are actively subscribed and they get those 2 tickets, what will happen is they will be sent promo codes or codes so that they can access the stream. So those will all be coming in an email at a later date.
Excellent.
Fair enough?
Okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough. All right. That takes us 5th, 6th, 7th. Then for the holidays, for Christmas and for New Year's, we are closing the offices on the 24th and 25th, as well as on the 31st and 1st.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay.
I think that takes us to our special guest.
Yes, it does. That takes us through the end of the year.
We have a very special guest today.
Oh, yes, we do.
This is somebody who's a personal friend of mine, but also somebody that has come to... or at least I guess I got to know him a lot better through regionals, as he attended many of them.
Yes.
But he is a 5-star qualified Renatus member, and he speaks multiple languages, which I find...
Was it 4?
It's like 4 or 5.
2 that he's fluent in and 2 that he's...
I think it's 4, and then he also does sign language.
Oh, there we go.
Which is a language. It's 5 languages, right? Like, that's incredible. Especially because he's very fluent in Mandarin, which boggles my mind because I've been trying to learn Spanish for a while, and it's not easy. And he's also helps people. He's a success. I don't know what the term would be exactly. He helps people with their story, telling their story online and how they can break it down so it's captivating.
Nice.
He's a very captivating individual. So I'd like to bring out Brigham Blackman on our podcast.
Blackham.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on today. Jay, man, this is the jam. I'm so grateful to be here with you. And Matt, thank you for the invite. It is a pleasure.
You bet,
so
man.
Stoked to be here. I appreciate you guys.
So Brigham, I would love, especially where you have talked about that you help individuals craft their story. Let's hear a little bit about your story. How did you come to Renatus? And then Matt has talked about all the way up until you've been attending the regionals. Tell us your story.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My story starts actually when Wanda Carrasquillo invited me to an event. She met my mother at a ladies' retreat, and it wasn't quite right for my mom, but she said, "You know what? You need to talk to my son." And when I came down to my first event at Renatus, my eyes were opened to what was possible. I was a high school Chinese theater teacher, not Chinese theater, but theater and Chinese teacher.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely loved sharing ways that people can connect with language, connect with culture, and share their stories. And when I first got that introduction to Renatus, I saw a financial opening for myself that was different than I'd ever experienced before. I dove into the classes. My first 3 weeks in Renatus, I finished the Essentials education, which I think is around 65 hours of education. It's nuts. But I knew how to learn, and I loved it. So the education is not only quality, it's with people that are such amazing practitioners. It's inspiring, and it just literally changed my life. And since I joined, one of the things that has absolutely changed my perspective on life, on business, is the idea of acquiring assets. Before I came down to Renatus, I didn't really know what an asset was. I didn't know what a liability was. I had this vague idea, but Renatus taught me that an asset is something that puts money in your pocket consistently. And I got into short-term rentals, leveraged the classes in a way that allowed me to build up a portfolio of 9 short-term rentals. And it has started shifting my mindset, skill set, and tool set in a way that allows me to go share my story with more people. And now, because of this business, I actually retired or resigned from being a Chinese teacher and a theater teacher in high school, and I do this full time. I connect with people. I run my own podcast called Leveling Up, and I absolutely love leveling up other people's stories, their mindset, skill set, tool set, and opportunities to connect with more amazing people. So, Jay, thanks for having me on the call, and Matt as well. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So you now operate 9 short-term rentals. Is that correct?
That's accurate.
So tell me, how long did it take from when you got started with Renatus until you got number 1, and then how long did it take to go from number 1 to number 9?
Okay, when I joined Renatus, this was May 2019. You have to first go through the education, so 3 weeks to go through essentials, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just started binge watching my success classes, all the different things I need to do. I started with Jay Massey's class because Richard Stock invited me to do that. He's like, you just need to figure out what your investor identification is. And I went through that. I said, I don't know if any of these is the right choice. I'm just going to choose one. And I chose fix and flips. I did my first fix and flip at the same time as doing my first short-term rental. And realized I don't love doing fix and flips. I made some money, but it was very stressful. And that September 2019 was when I got my first short-term rental. I finished my first fix and flip almost at the same time. And that helped me figure out, I don't want to keep doing fix and flips. I want to generate this recurring revenue. And my results are not typical. We have the compliance guy here. I want to make sure I say that. But absolutely changed my life. So my very first rental I got in 2019, it was an idle asset my parents owned. The best it had ever done was $500 a month gross. And when I took it over, I was able to make a little bit over $1,000 a month, which literally doubled the revenue of that same property, just filled it with some used furniture, and we made some positive impact on this property. And I said, well, if I can do it once, I wonder if I could do it again. We did it again, and then again. And within 2 years, I had 3. And then almost every single year from then on, I did 2 or 3. So from 2019 until now, I've picked up 9. At one point I had 12 and I paired off 3 of them. So that's where I'm at today.
Gotcha. That's amazing. And I love that you're doing it, it's not like you created this instant income source where you're like, oh, now I'm making $1 million. I'm just going to do 50 of these all at once. It's yeah, I like that you took that path of, hey, I'm going to learn how to do this, and then I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again, and again, and again, and again. So tell me a little bit, have you gone through and watched, have you had the opportunity to see the classes that Randall created for the short-term rental stuff?
I love attending in person, so I was physically there, and I have gone back through them. But I had the opportunity to live in Utah for most of my education with Renatus. So anytime there was a class, I did my very best to be there. So I've literally attended probably 20 plus of the live stream classes.
Man, that's awesome.
And a lot of those re-recordings, you'll see me. I ask a lot of questions because I love to participate. And I actually have a secret for you guys. You want to hear this?
Let's hear it.
This is awesome. If you want to get the most out of your Renatus education, show up in person, because it's not just what you hear from the instructors, it's interacting with other people that are also going through the classes at the same time. And then the lunch experience, when you eat and you are brainstorming, that mastermind that Napoleon Hill talks about. And in the Launch to Success class, when Bob Snyder is saying, you got to read Think and Grow Rich, you have to learn how to mastermind. That is one of the most valuable things that I've experienced in my Renatus education, showing up, attending the class in person, interacting with those practitioner instructors, and then becoming friends with them and the other people that experience that class at the same time. So there's the secret. Sit front row and center if you can, but physically be there. It will change your entire experience with Renatus, because it's one thing to watch it on video. It's a total another one to experience it in person. to shake hands with Jay and to be able to connect with these amazing individuals. I'm friends with you guys because I decided to show up, and you have to show up to blow up, if I can quote Rob Sperry.
That's
so
true.
There you go.
And I totally agree. You're going to get the most by being at all of the events the events you don't attend, you can't help you. And you're right. There's something different about watching it versus the immersive experience of being here. So,
hey, did we tell everybody that we have live recording broadcasts tomorrow and on Friday?
And then next week as well.
Live in the studio?
Yeah.
Just almost like that would be a good idea for people to go. And attend it in person.
No kidding.
Man.
Yeah, no kidding. I hope they do. I hope they take advantage of it.
So tell me a little bit. I know last year, how many regional events did you attend last year?
I attended 3 regional events. I think there's 6 that were an option.
Yep.
I attended the Colorado, the Utah, and then the Chicago event.
Gotcha. Why did you prioritize? Why did you prioritize attending those regionals?
That's a great question. I would say the reason is because the events you don't attend will absolutely not help you. And for me, I felt like where I was moving to Colorado, I wanted to connect with the people here. Living in Utah, that's where most of my friends are in Renatus. And then in Chicago, I adore the Rose. I absolutely love connecting with the Renatus community. And I had an opportunity to go and work on a 1905 Victorian and learn how to paint from Bob Tierney, one of the master painters, one of the master people in our community. He's a PAC member. And he said, hey, if you come, I'll mentor you for a whole week. And I said, sold, I will be there. And I figured out how to make it work, and it was transformational.
Right on. What were some of the takeaways that you have been able to apply in your business, and what are some of the results you've created since then?
I would say the first thing is whenever I'm taking notes, I always choose 1 or 2 action items at the very top of my notes. I always set the action items. I'll choose 1 or 2 that said, this is what is going to change for me from this. Now, it wasn't this last regional, but it was 2 regionals ago that I said, I want to not only have a podcast, but I want to have at least 100 episodes by the end of 2024. And it was at an event that I set that idea, and I said, well, how do I do that? And I said, I don't know. I know there are people that have done it. I know there are people that are interested in doing that. But for me, it became almost an obsession. I was like, I need to figure out how to do this so I can grow my speaking career. And that was probably one of the biggest shifts for me, was saying, I'm going to do a podcast. And then I need to figure out who in the Renatus instructor pool knows how to do that and has done that. And then what can I do to make sure that it happens? Now, since I started my podcast last October, which was about during the time of the first, it was the first or the second regional, I was able to go and say, all right, I've recorded 1 now. I just need to figure out how to edit it and post it. And it took me 3 months to post my first one, but I got it done. And then from January till now, I've done over 90. I'm almost at 100.
Wow, that's awesome.
Nice. So you're on track to get your goal.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I will hit that goal. I've already got 4. I've got 1 tomorrow that I'm going to be doing. And then in the next 2 weeks, I've got Sharon Lecter, who's going to be on the 24th, which will be great. I just booked the other author of the... maybe call it the 3 Feet from Gold. If you know that.
Oh yeah.
That book.
Yeah.
Greg Reed. Yeah. He's going to be on the podcast as well. So that will be phenomenal.
Heck yeah, man.
And super stoked.
That is
just
awesome.
doing my very best to provide value at the highest level I can and create those connections.
Yeah.
I love how Troy Dunn talks about, if you're going to provide stories for people and you're going to connect with them in a way that they want to have those stories like show up in their life, then you're going to be able to help people. And content is king. If you're providing good content and you're consistently doing it, people start to know, like, and trust you. And they don't do business with people they don't know, like, and trust. That's why it was so impactful for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I want to go backwards in your story just a little bit, and then I want to go forward. Yeah. As weird as that sounds, I want to go back, and then I'll jump ahead. But, when Matt introduced you, he talked about you being a 5-star affiliate with Renatus and how that's important to you. First of all, why exactly is that important to you?
Because it was so hard at the beginning for me mentally to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
I came from a very intellectual background. So I was like, well, I did the thing. I should have the result. The thing is with being a marketer for Renatus is you have to become someone that people want to follow and connect with. You have to do the things consistently, and you have to invite. You just follow that framework consistently, and the good things will happen. And when I started following and listening a little bit more intently, there were times where I was like, oh, I finally made a sale. Fantastic. And then inconsistency happened again. I was like, whoa, lost all of momentum. And the thing is with being 5-star, it is about consistency. It's about being a living, breathing example of what Renatus can do for you. And you want to be an example that others can look to.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was important for me because having to go through, it was almost 1,000 leads to be able to become 5-star. Like, it was challenging, and it took persistence and it took patience. But luckily, I stuck with it. I think a lot of people would have been like, well, I didn't make enough money the first year. I'm done. I said, well, who am I becoming? Am I becoming a better human being? Am I becoming a better business owner? Am I more equipped now than I was before? Absolutely. And because of that focus on incremental gains and that process of progress, it's been absolutely worth it. So I wear that badge with honor because it was so hard for me to get it. But now I realize, you know what? The hard was in my head. I could have gone through 1,000 leads in a couple months. It took me almost 4 years. But I'm glad that I did it. I'm even more glad that I'm consistently sharing the message with as many people as I can.
That's awesome. I feel like you hit on a key principle there for not just success in becoming 5-star qualified, but in business and in life, which is that you have to be consistent. You have to show up, and you have to fall in love with the process of progress, and really not get discouraged by a single measuring stick. It's really interesting because I was talking with Woody the other day, and he says, I love targets, I don't love goals. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he goes, I love setting benchmarks and saying this is what I'm striving to achieve, but I'm not done when I get there. It's a target, and then I'm moving to the next target. He's like, a goal feels like it's final, right? You get there, you're done, you're finished. And he goes, I shoot for targets, not for goals. And I was like, okay, I can understand where you're coming from. But I love Brigham, and just how you pointed out that one, you could have done it a lot quicker, and two, the biggest thing to change was not your bank account, but instead it was your mindset and how you were able to then apply that in your life and business. Did you feel, and maybe I'm making an assumption here, so I'll ask you, in what other areas of your life did you feel like that mindset applied?
I would say health was one of those that was a struggle for me in the very beginning. I used to weigh quite a bit more than I do now. And as far as like being a person that was persistent, I have always been someone that loves learning. Learning has been a huge, important thing for me. When I started Renatus, I actually thought I was an intellectual, if we can go into the drive system. I thought I was an intellectual because that was one of the things that I got off on. I absolutely love learning. It's a passion of mine, and I love sharing ideas. But coming back to why I felt like other elements of my life had to come in alignment, it was because when you are willing to progress, even though you're in a mess, and you're willing to do the hard thing, whether it's convenient or not. Like, there were so many times on Thursday nights where I was like, I would almost rather be doing anything else but go tonight because I don't have a guest. Why did I do this to myself? But I still showed up. And that was something that the choice to show up when sometimes that's all that you had left in the tank because you're busy at work or whatever it was. That choice propelled me to make progress. Yeah. Sometimes at work, I was so drained as a theater teacher. I would be doing, 10, 12-hour days after rehearsal. I was like, well, I just got home 20 minutes ago. I've got another 10, 15 minutes with my family. And I'm going to go to a Renatus event. What am I thinking? What am I doing? And then after the event, I had my eyes open to a new possibility. I had some different insights that I could apply into my business, and things started to keep working for me. So if I could say in a nutshell, it doesn't happen overnight. Every single one of us have moments where we think, well, I paid the money. Don't I get the results right now? And that's not how Renatus works. You pay the money, you get access, and then you get priority. Like you can come to classes, you can watch it, you can have that priority, and then you get the service. And the service in Renatus is amazing, but you have to opt in to show up. I said this earlier, like what Rob Sperry says, you have to show up to blow up. You don't just have to show up physically. You have to mentally be there. There's something in education called participation, right? We've all participated in things, but if you are participating only on a surface level and you're not willing to connect to your heart and how you are showing up, you can be there and have this presenteeism where you're present, but you're not actually participating. And one of the things that Renatus taught me was when you are fully engaged, when you go all in, you do the things long enough, hard enough, and you say, I don't care how long it takes me. I know where I'm going. I know my destination. I want financial flexibility in my life. I want to apply the things that Mark Kohler has taught me in taxes. I want to have my trifecta. I want all of these different elements of my life to come into together because I see it clearly. Other people have been there and done that. I will follow. And as I incrementally did that, I'm still in the process. Now, guys, I'm not perfect. I don't think anybody is perfect, but there are things that I've learned in Renatus that have absolutely changed the trajectory of my life. It's improved my health, my wellness, my lifestyle, who I communicate with. I love our family. I feel like the system is in place for me to build wealth for generations. And I don't think of wealth only in dollars and cents. I think of all the breadth and depth of our different ways that we connect with people. It's money, it's the relationships, it's real estate that we can pass on back and forth, and the knowledge. The knowledge that I've gained in Renatus has been infinitely valuable. There are sometimes an instructor will share some counsel in one aspect that they're speaking from their perspective. They're not sharing an opinion. They're saying, this is what I would do in that type of a situation because this is what I've done. That is so valuable. Like one example that I like to share with prospects, I've shared this multiple times. I was like, the red flags class, because you brought it up, they're going to re-record it. One of the things that I thought was really interesting. Do you remember the red flags class when you've got a sewer line that hasn't been scoped? Mm-hmm. If you don't go and get it scoped, how much could that potentially cost you?
Oh, tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands of dollars. And I remember hearing that class. I was like, this is the type of information that Renatus shares. Things that will save not just like tens or 20s of dollars, but tens of thousands of dollars. And that's not just one property. That's any property that you do from here on out, as long as you remember it and you apply it.
Yeah.
So if I could say generational wealth in one concept, Renatus has given me the knowledge, the skill set, the tool set to be able to transform my dreams into a reality. That doesn't mean it happens overnight, but I have the roadmap. And what's cool is I have that roadmap the rest of my life. When I have a question, I don't have to wait to get it answered. I don't have to wait till nationals to get it answered. I can go into my back office and I can search and figure out who would know this. Oh, Chris Albin would know. I'm going to reconnect into his class. One of my favorite things when I'm going back through a class, this is an educational thing, but I will go and I'll grab the PDF version of the class and I'll say, this was the question I have. And I'll do a little keyword search. And then I can find those exact stories or those exact ideas and concepts. And that makes so I don't have to watch the whole class. Maybe I'll just go back to 2 or 3 sections to get my actual answer. So I'm so grateful for the hard work that you guys have put in to those PDF versions of the class. It's phenomenal. The workbooks are so good.
They absolutely are. It's actually one of our categories that we win Best of State in. Have won Best of State in several times. So I love an idea. I love so much of what you shared. One of the ideas that I really wanted to touch on again was the idea of being present versus being on purpose.
One second. We're talking about the family for a second.
You're
My
good.
daughter
Hey,
just walked
buddy.
in. Say hello.
Hey, bud.
Hi.
iPad.
You want to watch the iPad? Mom's over there. She could definitely help you. Being present. This is part about being present,
There you
guys.
go.
I get to work from home. That's one of the blessings that Renata gave me.
That's awesome.
She's not home. She's in the other room, silly goose. That's okay. But so rephrase the question.
So
for me. You said
no.
being
I was just pointing out. You talked about the present versus being participating, and I've always called it being present versus being on purpose. If you show up in conversations, actually in your life on purpose, and leverage every opportunity to increase your skill set, as you've talked about, incrementally better. Progressing through your mess. I just think about the 1%, right? The rule of 1%, which is that if you get 1% better every single day, then in a year you will have grown 37 times. And so I just think that that's so powerful that you're focused on that progress and that you're showing up and being not just present but on purpose in those conversations and in those opportunities. I think I love to just reiterate and highlight for individuals the business principles that you're talking about, because I feel like they are so applicable across any business, across any area of our lives, even because so much, man, I could go on and on, but this isn't about me. It's about you. I love what you're talking about, and you're sparking things in my mind constantly. I hope everybody that's online with us is feeling the same thing. So tell me a little bit more. We went backwards. Now let's go forward. How do you see yourself continuing to progress now that you've hit that goal or are about to hit the goal of the 100 podcasts? What's next for you?
Excellent question. Thank you. When I think of what's next, it is achieving the opportunity to be on more stages. Now, podcast stages, I've got another goal, which is 52 podcast guest appearances. Thanks for being part of turning my dream into a reality.
Yes.
I'm a little over 30 that I've guested on this year. So when I think of where I'm going next, it is, how do I share this message that Bob has given us with more people? And for me, I listen to the classes and I hear my podcast is one type of stage, one platform.
Yeah.
You've got different digital stages like other podcasts or radio shows. And then you have physical stages. And that's where I'm going next, getting on more physical stages so that I can share Renatus with amazing people. I can share how to unpack people's stories, because sometimes we think that our story isn't valid, isn't worth it. But as soon as you're willing to ask the right questions, you'll start to unpack a story that's amazing. I love how Bob, my very first time I went to Leaders Retreat, he took somebody's story with 3 or 4 questions, repackaged it, and gave it back to him. And it was beautiful. And it's like, I want to do that. So I've listened to every single one of his generally speaking videos. I love Bob. He's phenomenal.
Yep.
Read his book. I've got his, I don't know if, not enough people have read his book. This one, I want to bring that up. And this one's phenomenal, guys. You definitely need to go get Bob Snyder's 25 Strategies to Cut Costs and Unlock Your Cash Flow. But anytime I can learn from Bob Snyder and be in his presence, I feel like I'm a better human being, not just a better businessman, but literally a better human being, because he's a great father. He's a great mentor. He's phenomenal. So where I'm going next is getting on more stages and earning the right to do it. So I'm actually in the process of writing 2 books. Crazy. I've been going back through a framework that I developed all about stories. So digging into my life and figuring out, how do I find those stories that are the most impactful to me and could potentially help other people? Because every single one of us could be a teacher at some point to somebody else. You can be a mentor, and you can also have mentees. And there's this Confucian saying, when you are walking with 3 people, right, both of them are your teachers. because you can learn from everyone, right? 三人行必有我师焉 is the exact expression. And because of that, I want to help unlock more people's stories. And where I'm going with that next is writing those books, creating an opportunity to follow very similar to what Troy Dunn has done in his done deal formula, connecting stories to the right people that want to hear them, and connecting with people and organizers of events that want to get to that next level. I'm talking about leveling up. I'm all about that incremental progress. 不进则退. If you're not progressing, you're digressing. I want to help more people, specifically top leaders, share their story in a meaningful, impactful way.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's awesome. That's awesome, because I couldn't agree more. You know, Bob loves to tell the story about the time when he interacted with John Schmidt. John Schmidt is one of the founders of the Piano Guys, if you know who they are. And Bob asked him, he said, how do you decide what content to produce and to put online? And John looked at him and said, well, it's really simple. Make stuff that people want to watch. And Bob laughed and he goes, well, yeah, easy. But this and that. And he goes, no. Make stuff that people want to watch. It's that easy. That's what you do. And it sounds like you're telling stories that people want to hear. Exactly. And you're extracting from those stories principles and ideas that can be applied in so many facets of life and business, and can really transform not just who you're becoming, but who you can become. You know, I'm sure that you've had the experience, and maybe I'm talking out of line here, but I'm sure you had the experience where at some point in your life, your vision of yourself transformed. And you had that moment of progression where all of a sudden what was possible changed. And what was it like for you to have that experience, and then to recognize how much further you could go in this life?
That is a great question, and I'm going to do a politician thing and share a story that it reminded me of.
Okay.
It was my first time going up Pineapple Mountain as a missionary. There is this beautiful misty mountain place in the jungles of Taiwan, right off of Ufeng, where I had the privilege to do all these switchbacks back and forth up to the very top of this mountain. And the reason I'm sharing this, so you guys can have context, is it changed the way that I looked at progress, and it changed the way that I looked at my story and what was possible for me. So as I started making progress up this hill, it was extremely challenging. I don't know if you've ever been to a place like Taiwan where it is extremely humid, super hot. When you're biking, you feel like you're showering because there's so much sweat coming out of every single bit of you. We would switch back and forth, and I remember one of the times while we were doing this, because I did this multiple times. We loved going up Pineapple Mountain. The bishop that was with us, he ended up having a flat tire, and he was a little farther than halfway up. So he's like, it's actually easier for me to hike all the way up to the top than it is to hike back down. And when you get to the top, there is this vista. You see pineapple fields. It's gorgeous. And the smell, like if you've ever had like a Dole Whip at Disneyland, imagine that times 1,000, is beautiful. And the part that absolutely shifted my perspective on progress was how you came down off of that mountain. There was a paved road from the top of the mountain to the bottom, and it was 2 or 3 lanes wide. You could see these little pineapple tractors that were little 3-wheel tractors going all the way up, and it was easy for them to get up because they had this paved road. But as a missionary, we would go from the very top of that hill and zip down in just a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, that took us hours to get to the top. And it made me realize, if I'm going to progress to whatever mountain I want, it is going to take hard work. But if I stop pedaling, or if I choose not to progress, I digress. And that road down is so fast. It can take you all the way from the top of the mountain to the bottom in an instant. So I don't know if that fully answered your question, but for me, progress is about making consistent iterations and changing the version of your story and your concepts of who you were because you don't have to be tied to who you were. You can say, I'm going to be Brigham 2.0. I'm going to be Jay 2.0. And as you iterate your next version of yourself, you increase your vision and you associate with those leaders that can see around corners because they've been there. You look to those mentors that have been there and done that. That's why I love Renatus, because we have practitioner instructors that have been there and done that. It's not hypothetical theory. It is tactical, practical knowledge that I am so grateful for. So Jay, that would be my answer. Just like Pineapple Mountain.
I love it, because that's so applicable, because as you travel that path, it is arduous, it's difficult, it's a path of becoming. But you're right. If you go down the hill, you can, in moments, compared to the amount of time that has taken you to progress, undo everything that you did and even get further away from who you wanted to be. Right. I think that's so interesting. I'm just thinking about, I was trying to figure out why it was that it was easier for him to go to the top than it was for him to go back down. But now, knowing that there was a road off the back end of it makes a lot of sense.
Reason why is exactly. So you have a way that someone could drive to the top. Right. That was why it was easier.
Right. That's awesome. Well, I'm super glad that you could join us today and share. Are there any thoughts or insights that you want to share as we come to a conclusion today?
I'll share one. One of the things that I've experienced as being part of Team Elevate with Renatus, I hosted over 520 morning calls. It is actually connect with the people in your area. Our family is precious. It's something that I'm so grateful for. I mean, I paid for the education, but y'all over delivered with the family. That's why we stick with whatever it is that we choose to do, because of the associations. That law of association is so key. And you've probably heard the expression, team, together everyone achieves more. As we become successful in whatever it is we want to do, share the success. I've heard Michael Huggins say this multiple times. If Renatus has helped you, isn't it a little selfish not to share it? So for me, I'm going to keep sharing the dream, keep sharing the reality. And what I love about Renatus is my dreams are now becoming my reality more and more. And I am just so grateful for Wanda Carrasquillo opening her mouth in her imperfect English from Puerto Rico. I absolutely love that woman, because she changed my reality. And now I don't have to die with memories. I can die with memories, not dreams. I'm reading this book by Rob Sperry right now.
That's awesome.
That's the key, is constant, never-ending progress. And Renatus has done that for me, and I open it all the time. It is such a wealth of experience and knowledge that is consistently getting better. Like this week, we get to even have more opportunities to have it get upgraded and leveled up. So thank you for all that you guys do. Jay, I love you, man. I'm so grateful for who you are and what you do and the leader that you've been. It is so inspiring. I want to be a better man and a better husband, a better father, because of my association with you and Matt as well. I'm so thankful for who you gentlemen are. I know it's sometimes a thankless job, but it is so needed. And I'm so thankful for the love that you guys pour into our community. It has changed my life immeasurably. So know I love you guys and I appreciate you.
Man.
Thank you, Brigham.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. And we appreciate you as well. The feelings are very, very mutual. You know, every time that we get around each other, we always have a good time. You are a bundle of energy and joy. You just radiate that happiness. And that means so much to all of us. You are the glue that makes the family stick together. That's right. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for being with us today. And thank you for showing up and sharing with your whole heart. I appreciate you very much.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for being such a wonderful president, and keep the dream alive for all these wonderful people.
Well, that is definitely the plan, to ensure that Renatus outlives us all. Well, thanks for being with us, Mr. Blackham. Thank you for all of you that are joining us afar. And remember, the reason why Renatus rocks is because of the people who are associated with us, like Mr. Blackham, like Mr. Snyder, like each and every one of you. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back with you next Wednesday. Renatus rocks.